War is spreading in 2025. The real reasons. The world feels more volatile than it has in decades. Headlines flash with news of border skirmishes, diplomatic breakdowns, and shadowy cyber attacks. But these are just the symptoms. The nature of conflict itself is changing. It's no longer confined to traditional battlefields marked by trenches and tanks. In 2025, war is a multi-layered phenomenon, fought not just with soldiers, but with algorithms, economic leverage, and digital propaganda. The lines between peace and conflict have blurred, creating a state of persistent, low-level global competition that can erupt into open hostility with terrifying speed. To understand why, we need to look beyond the front lines and examine the powerful undercurrents driving this new era of instability. Three fundamental forces are converging, creating a perfect storm for conflict: collapsing economies, fractured alliances, and a rapid, destabilizing technological arms race. The first, and perhaps most potent force, is the fragility of the global economy. When economies collapse, societies fracture, and governments grow desperate. The primary accelerant is runaway inflation. In many parts of the world, the cost of basic necessities has surged, with some reports indicating that staple food prices have doubled in less than 2 years. This isn't just an inconvenience, it's a national security threat. It erodes savings, destroys public trust, and pushes populations to the brink. Governments, burdened by massive national debt accumulated over years of crises, find themselves with limited tools to respond. They can't simply print more money without fueling the inflationary fire, and they can't impose austerity without risking widespread civil unrest. This economic desperation makes states more prone to taking high-stakes gambles. A short, victorious conflict can seem like an attractive way to distract a restless population, seize valuable resources, or rally citizens around the flag. Compounding this is the volatility of energy markets. The flow of oil and natural gas has become a geopolitical weapon, with supply chains being disrupted for political gain. A single disruption can cause energy prices to spike globally, crippling industries and households alike. This creates a dangerous incentive for nations to secure their own energy sources through coercion or military action. Then there are the growing resource shortages. Climate change and environmental degradation are leading to unprecedented water scarcity. Major rivers are drying up, and aquifers are being depleted, putting immense strain on agricultural regions that feed millions. At the same time, the global transition to green energy has created a voracious appetite for critical minerals like lithium, cobalt, and rare earth elements. Over 90% of the global supply of some of these minerals is controlled by a handful of nations. This concentration of resources creates new choke points and new arenas for geopolitical competition. When a nation's economic survival depends on a resource it doesn't control, the temptation to secure it by any means necessary becomes immense. The second force is the fracturing of the international order. For decades, a system of global alliances, treaties, and institutions provided a framework for stability, even among rivals. Today, that framework is wobbling. Old partnerships, once thought unshakable, are being strained by diverging interests and a resurgence of nationalism. As major powers pull back from their traditional roles as global arbiters, power vacuums are emerging. Nature abhors a vacuum, and so does geopolitics. Ambitious regional powers are stepping in to fill the void, scrambling to expand their influence. This creates a chaotic, multipolar world where allegiances are fluid and transactional. We're seeing a shift from large, ideological blocs to smaller, more agile coalitions of convenience. A country might be an economic partner one day and a military rival the next. This uncertainty has a dangerous downstream effect. It fuels regional arms races. Nations that once relied on a security guarantee from a larger ally now feel compelled to build up their own military capabilities. Defense budgets are swelling as countries invest in advanced weaponry, not just for defense, but to project power and deter newly emboldened neighbors. This dynamic also encourages the use of proxies. Instead of direct confrontation, which is costly and risky, nations are increasingly fighting their battles through third parties. They fund and arm militias, support insurgencies, and back friendly governments in faraway conflicts, turning local disputes into arenas for great power competition. This creates tangled, intractable wars that are incredibly difficult to resolve, as the local actors are often beholden to their foreign sponsors. The breakdown of trust makes diplomacy harder, and with fewer reliable channels for communication, the risk of miscalculation and accidental escalation grows significantly. The third force supercharging this instability is the rapid weaponization of technology. The character of warfare is being revolutionized by a new generation of tools that are cheaper, more accessible, and more lethal than ever before. The most visible change is the proliferation of drones. From small, commercially available quadcopters modified to drop grenades, to sophisticated long-range autonomous aircraft, unmanned systems have democratized air power. Groups that could never afford a traditional air force can now deploy swarms of these machines to overwhelm sophisticated defenses. Loitering munitions, or so-called kamikaze drones, can circle over a battlefield for hours before striking a target with pinpoint precision. This technology dramatically lowers the cost and risk of launching an attack. Alongside drones, the cyber domain has become a primary battle space. Cyber tools are no longer the exclusive domain of elite intelligence agencies. Hacking collectives and state-sponsored groups can now launch devastating attacks on critical infrastructure. They can shut down power grids, disrupt financial systems, and cripple transportation networks from thousands of miles away. The barrier to entry is low, and attribution is notoriously difficult, making it a tempting weapon for asymmetric warfare. But the most profound change is the integration of artificial intelligence. AI is compressing the timeline of war. Algorithms can now analyze intelligence data, identify targets, and even recommend courses of action faster than any human ever could. This creates immense pressure on military commanders to get inside the enemy's decision loop, to act faster than they can react. The danger is that this leaves less and less time for human deliberation, verification, and de-escalation. As we move toward more autonomous systems, we raise the terrifying possibility of a conflict escalating automatically, driven by algorithms interacting at machine speed, without a human finger on the trigger. These three forces, economic desperation, fractured alliances, and disruptive technology, are playing out across three distinct yet interconnected fronts. The first is the physical battlefield. This is the domain of conventional conflict: soldiers, tanks, and artillery. But even here, tactics are evolving. We're seeing the rise of gray zone operations, actions that are aggressive and coercive, but fall just below the threshold of traditional war. Think of maritime militias harassing shipping, or unidentified little green men seizing territory. The goal is to achieve strategic objectives without triggering a full-scale military response. The second front is the world's cyber networks. This is a war fought in silence, through fiber optic cables and server farms. A simple scenario: a state-sponsored group, seeking to destabilize a rival ahead of a critical election, launches a ransomware attack against its hospital system. Patient records are encrypted, surgeries are canceled, and public panic ensues. The attack is officially blamed on a criminal gang, allowing the aggressor state to maintain plausible deniability while achieving its political aims. The third, and perhaps most pervasive front, is the information space. This is the battle for hearts and minds, fought on social media platforms, in news headlines, and through private messaging apps. Here, the primary weapons are propaganda, disinformation, and deepfakes. Imagine a manufactured video appearing to show a political leader making an inflammatory statement. The video goes viral, amplified by an army of automated bot accounts before it can be debunked. The damage is done. Public trust is shattered, social divisions are deepened, and the political landscape is destabilized. In this environment, truth itself becomes a casualty of war. The ability to distinguish fact from fiction is eroded, making it easier for aggressors to manipulate public opinion and justify their actions. These three fronts are not separate. They are deeply intertwined. A hack can spark real-world violence. A disinformation campaign can lay the groundwork for a military invasion. A physical attack can be accompanied by a wave of cyber and information warfare to maximize chaos and confusion. Looking at the world in 2024 and 2025, we can see these dynamics at play in multiple flashpoints. In Eastern Europe, the conflict in Ukraine continues to send security ripples across the continent, forcing a fundamental rethink of defense postures and alliance commitments. In the Middle East, tensions remain high, with proxy conflicts and attacks on commercial shipping in vital sea lanes, like the Red Sea, threatening global trade and energy supplies. In the Indo-Pacific, standoffs in the South China Sea demonstrate how economic leverage and military posturing are used in tandem to assert territorial claims. And across the Sahel region of Africa, a series of military coups, fueled by economic hardship and exploited by external actors and mercenary groups, has created a vast arc of instability. These are not isolated events. They are connected by the global forces of economic strain, shifting alliances, and the proliferation of new technologies of conflict. So, what should we watch for next? As we navigate this complex landscape, there are several key indicators that can signal escalating risk. First, track defense spending. When countries consistently increase their military budgets year after year, it's a clear sign they perceive a growing threat. Second, monitor the imposition of sanctions and trade restrictions, especially on critical technologies and resources like semiconductors and rare earth minerals. Economic warfare is often a prelude to more direct conflict. Third, pay attention to incidents in space, such as the jamming or interference of satellites. Space is the high ground of modern warfare, essential for communication, navigation, and intelligence. Any disruption there is a serious matter. Finally, be aware of surges in disinformation, particularly around elections or major political events. A sudden flood of inflammatory content or conspiracy theories is often a deliberate attempt to sow chaos and weaken a society from within. By tracking these signals, we can get a clearer picture of where the next crisis might erupt. The world of 2025 is defined by a new, more complex and interconnected form of conflict. It's messy, it's global, and it's often driven by the short-term gains of desperate actors over the long-term stability of the international system. The convergence of collapsing economies, fracturing alliances, and rapid technological arms races has created a volatile environment where war can spread in unpredictable ways across physical, cyber, and informational fronts. Understanding these forces is the first step toward navigating the turbulent times ahead. If you want to keep receiving clear, concise updates that cut through the noise and explain the real reasons behind the headlines, like this video and subscribe to Timelines.